Hello and welcome to another edition of Mailbag. What is Mailbag? Well, Mailbag is a feature of the channel where you guys leave lots of comments on the channel and I attempt to answer those comments, or if I can't answer those comments, I throw it out to you guys who have more knowledge on some of this stuff than I do. So let's get into the first mailbag of this session. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. Next comment or question comes from Walter Galliardo. And this is in relation to HDD sounds like a sack of ball bearings and T1 doesn't fire up. Mailbag I did in March 2023. Yeah, the HDD was in response to a question about Muse, I remember that. And Walter writes, the T1 issue is overly optimistic. Catastrophic failure of power supply can burn every single board inside the synth. I've experienced this firsthand, not a pretty sight. The fact that he's searching for a whole power board instead of a standard PSU rebuild leads me to believe the synth has not been properly inspected and is in a reasonably poor state of health. I do hope for him it's only a blown resistor, bad caps and a rectifier, but it hardly seems like the whole story. The 1375 is the Canada board. I checked for the 1374 too, which is the US Japan board. Now, what he's referring to is on the Korg, many manufacturers did it in similar ways but with different kind of numbering sequences. But on the Korg machines, Korg always stamped its boards with the reference KLM and then a 3/4 digit number. And you could then go and look for that board. So typically, as Walter has said here, 1375 was the 120 volt board, 110, 120 volt board that was installed in T1s that were shipped into North America. Because obviously guys over there, you work on 120, 110, 120 volts. Whereas 1374, I'm not sure was the US or Japan. I think the 1374 might have been the 100 volt version that was used in the Japan market or in the Far East market, who have a 100 volt AC supply. And then there would have been a third board, which was, and I can't tell you what the number is now, but it could have been 1373 or it could have been 1376, which was the board that was used in Northern Europe, which was a 240, 230 volt AC volt power supply. So how Korg solved this problem was effectively they just put a different board in the machine for the market and the territory, which of course means that, you know, if you want to move that board between territories, you've got to have step up and step down transformers depending on which way you go. Anyway, I digress. Now, I have to be honest and say my T1, the board in there, does show signs of damage from a previous issue. It all seems to be operating quite hunky-dory now, so I think whoever had that at some point in the past has solved the problem. So that I'm glad for, because you know it means I don't have to go around changing capacitors and changing resistors and other components, or looking for a new power supply board. But to be honest, many keyboards on the ground, it doesn't work. Many players on the ground, when it doesn't work, don't know what to look for when they look inside. And hopefully this forum stroke channel gives you some ideas and a little bit more understanding of what's going on inside a machine. You know, what happens if you see a resistor that looks very dark, if you see stains around a capacitor, you know, what do these things actually mean? And what should you be doing about it? What is the maintenance process for doing that sort of stuff? A lot of people, I think, struggle in this area. you know, musicians are musicians. Remember that. You know, musicians tend to play instruments. Some musicians like me have an understanding of what the electronics look like, but some very talented musicians have no idea what goes on under the hood. As far as they're concerned, they press that button, it makes this sound, I can play it. Job done. So, you know, we all have our skills. I don't claim to be as gifted as some musicians are, but on the flip side, I kind of have a bit of a more rounder when it comes to the legacy tech. Not really sure much else I can say on this one. Well, this next comment or question comes from XP50 Player, and it's in response to OnlyFans' nefarious content. Cannot recommend the fandom as it stands. A mailbag video I did in April 2023. Remember the nefarious content one. And XP50 writes, if the unhappy Fantom owner was previously unacquainted with Roland SYNTH's organisational hierarchy and nomenclature, it's a big word to say, isn't it? It would be daunting. The Modi X is the same for me, being the first Yamaha workstation-ish synth. In an attempt to simplify creating multis with subordinate patches and effects intact, manufacturers have jettisoned traditional synth hierarchies in favour of some type of modeless operation. Korg has remained the most traditional, and I would argue the more intuitive in that aspect. Very interesting categorisation, and I can't disagree with you. I think the various manufacturers have tried to differentiate themselves over the years and put features into their platforms. They are all kind of diverging for the musician to try and learn a new platform. I agree, it's utterly daunting. And I refer to my friend Wayne, who has been trying to get his new rig up and running for several months. As you know, I've bought into the Korg platform personally. I have a Kronos, I have an Oasis, I have several other. I've got T1, I've got M1, but I have bought into the Korg platform. And I find the Korg platform quite intuitive, but that's probably because I understand how it works. But I do wonder what would happen if I were to be given a Montage and a Modi X, or a Fantom and a Fantom O. I know this is not a few weeks of work to transfer between platforms. It might be if that's all you did, but if you're doing other stuff, especially if you're a gigging musician, you know, you don't have the downtime sometimes, especially this time of the year when it's summer. That's when you earn your money. So, you know, I would expect it would take a good month to get the basic programming principles underway, and then probably some other time to basically get your patches created. But if somebody was so dispensed to lend me a Fantom or a Montage Modi X platform, then I can obviously give you some more informed content on my feeling over Kronos versus the other platforms.